the art director for Jack's Surfboards, and we're here in our flagship store in Huntington Beach, California. Jack's Surfboard has been around since 1957, so it's actually been around since the beginning of the surf industry. Surf fans from all over the place, like if they're traveling the world, one of their destinations they have to go to is, Jack's Surfboards in Huntington Beach. The surf community that's been built around here, it's really tight-knit. They go by Surf City, USA, so just in general, it's such a good location for a surf shop, and the foot traffic alone is what makes it such an attraction. I pretty much was just that local Grom kid that hung around the shop every day, and then one day I asked him, like, hey, can I get a job? And so I just showed up, and started working the next day, and I filled out my application actually a week later. And I worked in the shop for a few years, and then I was actually going to school to become a graphic artist. I left and started, worked for different companies, magazines, clothing brands, and then about 5 years ago, they wanted to ramp up their private label brand. One of the owners, he gave me a call and he said, hey, this is what we want to do. I couldn't say no, and so I've been here ever since. The main reason we use the New Era cap in our line is because we just saw that New Era in itself is a brand that sold it just like any other brand that we carry. But at the same time, we put our Jack's name on it. It's almost like we're co-branding with New Era. And so when the opportunity presented itself, like, hey, you can make a Jack's branded New Era hat, it's like we were all aboard. And especially me, I'm like a huge baseball fan, and so I was like, yeah, we want to do that. When I design our New Era hats, a lot of the colorways come from the popular sports teams. You'll see within our line a look to it that people recognize. They can't figure out where, and I think that helps quite a bit going with a lot of the MLB colorways. This hat is probably my favorite Jack's hat that I've ever done. The little guy has been our trademarked logo that's been around since the 50s, and I got the colorway from the Orioles cap, and then that little guy had similar colorations to that Oriole from back then. As soon as I saw it and I put it together, I'm like, oh, this hat's perfect. Inspiration-wise, it's just everything that happens on TV, or whether it's a movie that's coming out, or whatever happens in pop culture, we pretty much get inspiration off that. The newer stuff that's coming out, we're probably going to do a lot of trucker hats, things that have more of a retro feel. Back when I first was designing, we would take a lot of style cues from other industries outside of surf, and that's where we were getting a lot of ideas, and fashion was being driven by things that were coming out of Europe. But lately, with surf culture hitting the mainstream more, they see what we're doing now, and we're legitimate inspiration to things that they do, whereas back in the day, we just see what you guys do and we're doing our take on it. Now it's like we're trading off and blurring the line a little bit between the surf industry and fashion, and you come up with something new.